With us now is OSU Extension Livestock Marketing Specialist Derrell Peel. Derrell, I know you were a speaker at the Rural Economic Outlook Conference. Can you tell us a little bit about what your message was to attendees?
Yeah, my focus on my presentation was on the drought conditions that we're in right now and the impacts that's having on cattle markets. What's happening now is obviously a huge challenge for producers to manage through this situation, but from a market standpoint, the implications will be around for a number of years. So that's what we were taking a look at.
Now, I know feeder cattle prices have weakened significantly in the past 2 to 3 weeks. Is this normal for this time of year, or what is that situation?
Well, we would normally expect some seasonal pressure in the fall, but I really think this is less of that. There's probably some of that in there, but there's a number of unique things about this fall. One is the fact that we've had very large feeder cattle runs all summer, and that's continuing so far this fall. We're actually a little ahead of the normal seasonal pressure would be about another month from now. So I think part of it is a little bit early timing on that. Another part of it is the fact that because of the drought, we have almost no chance for wheat pasture this year. So there's a little less demand for stocker cattle. That's probably weakening things a bit.
So where can we expect feeder markets to go from here?
Well, as I said, we have another month or so where we, quote, see our biggest fall runs. However, we sort of expect that to back off a little bit because we've already moved a lot of these cattle. That may actually help us a little bit. The wheat pasture prospects are not going to get better, I don't think. So, there's a balance there between supply and demand. But I think all of that says we probably don't see as much pressure going forward.
So what should producers consider when they're marketing their calves this fall?
Well, we do have this weakness right now, so I think time is probably on our side a little bit here. If you need a little more time to get these calves weaned, that's good. If you actually pencil out the possibilities for backgrounding these calves, it actually looks pretty good. Obviously, in a drought situation, a lot of producers don't have a lot of feed resources, so that may be a limitation. But if you can, there's pretty good opportunities to background these calves, for the rest of the year into the first part of next year.
So switching gears a little bit, what did the list data for beef imports and exports look like?
We've continued to see, good conditions from a trade standpoint. Beef exports set a record last year in 2021, and we're up another almost 6% so far this year. The August data, which is the latest data we got, was just about even with a year ago, but for the whole year, we're up on the export side. On the imports, we started the year with a big increase in imports. But we expected that to fall, and it has. The last 3 months, we've had double-digit year-over-year decreases. For the August data, it was down over 18%. So we're up on net for the whole year about 8% on beef imports.
So what is the outlook for future trade?
The trade situation, again, there's a lot of general macro concerns, both in the U.S. and around the world. One of the concerns we have is the fact that the U.S. dollar is very strong, so that creates headwinds for exports and actually makes imports a little more attractive. We haven't seen a lot of impact from that yet, but we're watching that as we go forward. But on the other hand, we don't really have any reason to expect the trade picture to weaken significantly beyond perhaps those macroeconomic concerns.
Well, thank you, Derrell, and we'll be sure to keep an eye on the markets.